Oops, I'm just rearranging myself and I think we've gone live. Hello, and I don't even have the chat ready. I'm going to do that, see who's in the chat, and get ready. I just these orders in the middle of when it went live. That's okay. I'll just get my chat window happening. Sometimes I'm more organized than others. So hello, Brett and Fox and Luke and Biori. Oh, Fox, you're into the mead this evening. Nice. Bit sweet for me, quite honestly. If I was going to have that type of drink, I'd probably go cider. Certainly not a beer drinker. I have tried mead, tried a few different brands of mead. Not been super into it. But yes, as regular viewers will most certainly be aware, I tend to drink spirits in the form of cocktails more than cider anyway. New level of nastiness. I was just quoting Tony Abbott being a whining fucking child. Because someone pasted up some graphics of him around his electorate with various words on his forehead. Sometimes they simply said no, sometimes they said pell, and sometimes they said cunt. It's a new level of elastic. I never get over it. He's the same worthless fucking piece of shit who, if people speak up about some horrific bit of racism in the media or from some public figure, you go, oh, why is everyone so sensitive? Why is everyone got to get it? Mimsy's coming to say hello. You know, oh, why does everyone take offense at everything? But yeah, but it's like, well, someone called me a mean name. Like, fuck off, you cunt. Honestly, he's such garbage. Anyway, the foolish lads who stuck these things about appear to have been caught on security cameras, CCTVs, and I imagine by tomorrow they'll probably have reported to a police station to say, well, what offence are you going to say I committed? And they might get summoned for putting the rude words up, but there is a precedent, and it's actually, humorously, actually about Tony Abbott, that having a sign calling him a cunt in public is not regarded as a criminal level of offensiveness. It's an actual precedent that was established in New South Wales, that it was okay to call Tony Abbott a cunt. I did see that, Luke. That was a weird statement by Palmer calling Adelaide a backwater, said they should have nuclear power. It's just this fetish for nuclear power. We don't have the infrastructure for it. It would cost an absurd amount to set up. The environmental damage caused in getting the fuel for nuclear power plants is considerable. The risk posed by nuclear power plants is considerable, and there is still no safe way to dispose of nuclear waste. So this fetishization of nuclear power in Australia by conservatives is fucking bizarre. No, don't waste money on renewable energy, but spend money on nuclear. It's just like so fucking stupid. It's mind-boggling. Hey, Mr. N9, you're out of hospital. That's good. So's AZ, apparently. Although I haven't seen him yet, but he did text me saying he was out. Then he also said his phone battery was low and he'd get back to me when he charged the phone. That was the last I heard of him. So I imagine he took a bunch of prescription medication and passed out. So, but he's out of hospital, apparently. So that's good. It's one of those things that just before it happened, it seemed quite unlikely. But then, yeah, the day before he got out, I visited him and he's going, hey, they're saying I might get out tomorrow, but then someone else is being difficult. And I was like, wow, I'm really surprised they've suddenly said not only are you getting out, that you're getting out tomorrow. And then it turned out to be true, apparently, according to his text message. So, yeah. So I imagine he's getting a care thing that's known as hospital in the home. And what that means is getting a home visit, usually by a paramedic, I think, at least a nurse. I often think it's like an ambulance comes by and a paramedic checks something, if not a doctor, because he is in a particularly bad way, and he's struggling with it. CrossFitter, you like the Brady Bunch post-credit scenes I started doing? Yeah, I mean that thing, the call to action at the end of videos, that I've never been very good at doing, but is apparently one of the most effective things you can do at the end of the video, saying, hey, please like, comment, and subscribe, and share with your friends, and tell your friends. I've always felt a bit icky doing that, but it apparently works. It's apparently one of the more effective ways to grow your audience. And there was a new feature on my editing software that let me do that Brady Bunch thing quite easily. So I did it. And that's the thing. Yeah, look, punch the like button. I mean, it really, PewDiePie really pioneered that, didn't he? Like, smack that smack button. Then all the, I mean, unsurprisingly, all the Let's Players copied PewDiePie. Why wouldn't you copy the most successful person in the world? But that over the top frenetic energy thing, not really me in the videos. I'm a little bit more conversational than that. And that, let's get real, very fake, amped up enthusiasm they do. Yeah, it's just not something I can really be part of. So, yeah, that's that. But yes, I have started, I've done that thing. If I get really enthused, I might do some different versions of it. But that took hours to do. That bloody 30-second thing at the end of videos took out, or if you count the rendering time, many hours. But the thinking and the planning, shooting was relatively quick. It's like about 10 minutes to shoot all the little bits. And then, yeah, there's all the time spent in editing and arranging. But in terms of elapsed time, the thing that takes the most elapsed time is just the rendering of the videos. Okay, I've got to then tell the software, okay, now render that, and that takes hours. So I need to beef up my machine, quite honestly. Its I don't know what the story is, but its performance has been lackluster of late. Need to beef up my machine. Like, ideally, I'd like to be able to edit and render 4K video without too much drama, and I really can't do that. Why have I started yawning? Yes, I really can't do 4K video. But even in just the HD video that's less than 4K, the editing's started to get really clunky. It used to be much, much better. I have no idea why it's so clunky, because it's the most high-powered fucking computer I've ever had. And now I'm yawning again. Oh my god, what is this about? This is what I have to do a Tuesday night as well, except more towards the end, I think. Yeah, so I need to beef up my PC at some point. So Mr. N9, did another mass shooter reference PewDiePie? I don't know. That's not really PewDiePie's fault. There are different issues with PewDiePie that I think he needs to look at. He needs to take more responsibility on. Going to start yawning and I can't stop. Oh. But yes, his not taking responsibility for referencing extreme right-wing propaganda and for essentially normalizing hate speech and saying it's no big deal to use ethnic, racial, and cultural slurs because it's all just jokes, man. How can it be a problem if it's jokes? He needs to take more responsibility on that front, in my humble opinion, because he's incredibly influential on millions of impressionable young people, mainly young men. Oh my God, Brett, you know, you wrote yawning is contagious. I saw the word yawning and I wanted to yawn again. Oh my God. Yes, but actually, like the Christchurch terrorist, before he did a live stream of the shooting, apparently said subscribe to PewDiePie because he's a fucking shit posting meme lord. It's really fucking weird, super fucking weird. Yeah, I think this is what, like, okay, when I was young, was when the idea first started getting floated that serial killers were doing what they were doing to get famous, because through the 60s and 70s, some serial killers or cult type people got very famous for being horrible pieces of shit. And this idea started to grow that some people were doing serial killings or spree killings or mass killings to get famous. And then, as in the US in particular, mass shootings started happening more and more often, particularly the school ones, then it definitely became a thing. There was a certain sort of extremely sick individual who part of their reason for doing a mass shooting was fame. And in the last 5 years in particular, the rise of online streamers went mainstream. Like YouTube pushed online video stars to the fore and mainstreamed them in the last 10 years. But the streamers in the last 5 years, certainly, to the point where, you know, that fucking piece of shit in Christchurch decided he should live stream his mass murder. Like, what the fuck? So is it most men who do the school shootings? The overwhelming, like well in excess of 90% of mass shootings worldwide are done by men. The worst female killers tend to kill family members, usually their own children. And that's most often linked to, oh my God, that fridge has started vibrating. like the motor kicked in, and two of the bottles are touching, and so they're vibrating against each other, making a lot of noise. Mr. O'Neill, do you want to reverse the Nazi claiming of traditional symbols? And of course, the biggest one on that is the swastika. I did see an article, someone trying to upset people in a Hindu temple by doing a swastika on the side, but it's the Hindus for whom it's actually a symbol of peace, which made them look like completely. Okay, those bottles are too loud. I've got to find out which two bottles are touching. Ah, it's here. Oh, there you go. That was easier than I thought. Fox is saying most female killers use poison because they're conscious about the mess others will have to clean out. Yeah, it is actually quite uncommon, even in the family killings perpetrated by women. It's uncommon for them to use a firearm. Safa, imagine what will happen with 5G. How will governments and companies and governments shut down streams? The governments are probably going to have a back door. In fact, almost definitely have a back door into the 5G network. For those who aren't that familiar with 5G, it's the sort of next level mobile data standard that's reputed to be easy to roll out and be super, super fast, which if you think everyone's doing mobile shit and live streaming now, apparently wait until 5G is happening and it will be wild. But governments and technology companies are probably going to have back doors into 5G technology, and they'll probably have complete control of it. The thing is, one of the supposed offshoots of the 5G rollout is the Internet of Things getting turbocharged, basically. You know, internet-connected devices in the home, TVs, fridges, home assistants, smart watches, cameras, phones, everything. The interconnectedness of them is going to go through the roof. Oh, Fox, yeah, you're right. The 5G conspiracy theorists are wild. There are super hyper paranoid people saying 5G is going to kill us all with radiation. You want an interesting and more than slightly troubling view of the future that's probably correct. In a recent edition of Wired magazine, they called it the Mirror World or the Mirror Universe. Sorry, I've got these yawns happening. Oh. And what they're talking about with the Mirror World is a one-to-one digital representation of the world. Basically, we have so many internet-enabled devices around, and so much of the world has been scanned and photographed and videoed, that there's a digital mirror world that's a one-to-one map of the real world. And like this be wild. So like you can imagine sort of next level augmented reality Google and Wikipedia. Like instead of being in places and going, ooh, what happened at this address? Like holding your phone up and just saying, and having a slider for the years and like pointing over there and moving a slider. What did this look like in 1990? And it would just overlay 1990. What it looked like in 1950. And stuff like that would be normal. But also in your own home. And I cannot stop yawning. You're right, Brett. Oh, man, these are good, mate. Oh, hey, Gecko, how's it going? like online shopping for the moment, if you don't put real limits on the monitoring of stuff, like if you have like a Google Home or any of those other fucking surveillance devices, say you choose to do it, you go like, oh, I want to redecorate I'd like a new lounge here. And you can like use your phone to do an augmented reality thing, and it would show you what some lounges that were on sale would look like and the thing. But if you don't have like privacy settings on, it'd be like your home assistant surveillance device. Here's you going, this lounge is getting a bit old. And you'll start getting push notifications with images of your lounge room, but with a different lounge there, going, hey, wouldn't your lounge room look good like this? And it would like be sending out notifications to retailers who'd pay you for the right to say, this person wants a new lounge. Oh, yes, Dr. Obama, I did see the Conservatives in the media super upset at Shorten being more convincing on the TV debate. Mind you, I think the TV debates are fucking stupid, and anyone whose vote's influenced by them needs to have a good hard look at themselves. But yes, they're super upset that the majority of people think Shorten was much more convincing. But yeah. Safa, Terminator's going to come from 5G. Honestly, the future of warfare is probably drones. Like, it's not going to be humanoid robots like the Terminator. It's going to be distributed network drones, both flying and ground-based ones that look like bugs or crabs that sort of run over you and tear you to pieces or fucking explode. Hey, Mofo, how's it going, buddy? Yes, a man here is in the open democracy, designing open democracy group. So he's very big on the ideas for different ways to get people involved in public life, the democratic process, the political process. Look, I've seen a thing like an Uber-like bus on demand. It's a fucking bus. It's, I mean, look, slightly different would be if buses divert, like, you know, there's a bus route and you had a little calling thing saying, oh, can you actually come by my house? And you'd get a notification, this bus is going to come by and divert me. But, you know, that then slows down the trip for everyone else. But I get super fucking annoyed at these tech fuckos who just come up with this thing. Oh, I've got this groundbreaking. No, that's not a new bus. That's a bus. Uber's not new. It's a fucking taxi service that's getting progressively worse. It's getting progressively worse as time goes on, and the flaws in the system become obvious. Gecko, you're driving for Uber. Well, I hope they treat you well, and I hope you're not getting ripped off, because Uber is a fucking shit company owned and run by fucking shit people. And I don't mean the drivers, I mean the people who run the company Uber. They're fucking garbage. You know, there's always these things like, oh, I've got this thing and I'm calling it local bodega, and it's a machine that you put, and it's a vending machine. And, you know, they go, oh, people like dormitory accommodation. You know, we've designed this thing where people can continue to live in this sort of shared environment. It's a shared house. People live in shared fucking houses. It's like, my God. Safa, did I watch Four Corners for Uber? No, I did not. I almost never watch Four Corners, actually. It's just basically all the stuff I've read on Uber. They're a fucking horrible company. Yeah, you're saying Uber's having an IPO. Yeah, what Uber's been, is the thing you've been doing is been burning through billions of dollars of investor money, and they've basically been doing their best to destroy existing infrastructures. And then when the existing infrastructure's been destroyed, they want to come in like a fucking monopoly and ramp up all the prices. They're the scum of the fucking earth, basically. Ooh, Mofo, some events for the democracy group. Brisbane's having new models of democracy. Melbourne event, make your own democracy, aka the startup money pit. Gecko's, oh, it's not just Lyft. There are a lot of competing companies. It's just that, okay, there was and has been for a long time severe flaws in the taxi system, but it is completely unfair for Uber and related tech companies to undermine the taxi system without having to pay the licensing costs that the taxi system had to pay. If we're going to deregulate things to the extent Uber want things deregulated, then Uber should have to pay out every taxi license in every city, which is a fuck ton of money because taxi licenses are super expensive. And it's just basically, yeah, no, Uber's shit. I think I've said that once or twice. Uber is shit. And they're trying to get all the benefits with none of the responsibilities. I see something. You're actually highlighting another shortcoming of these tech companies and their shit, and the whole privatization idea. Is it only works in big markets. This is a thing that's happened in England in particular when bus and train services were privatized. They cut out a whole bunch of services because they go, well, that's not economical for us. We can't make a lot of money off that. And so they basically really severely isolated a whole bunch of people who used to have a train or bus service, but because this private enterprise said it wasn't economical and the government sold it off, these people just end up being really isolated. And it's this fucking neoliberal survival of the fittest, leave the disadvantaged to die, and it's absolutely bullshit. Dr. Brahma, I've never been on Uber. I've probably been in an Uber called by someone else, but I don't have an Uber account. But for some classic example, the NBN was completely fucked up in Australia, broadband internet. I don't actually know enough about, we were already talking about 5G technology. I don't know enough about that to know how broadly that's going to be distributed, if it's going to be urban centres only, or if it's something that can be easily rolled out to regional areas. Be a huge bonus for regional people if they did have fast, affordable mobile internet. Yes, Dr. Obama, that's the conspiracy theory that Murdoch actively lobbied the LNP to disembowel the NBN because it suited his Foxtel service if there wasn't cheap and widely available high-speed internet, because that provides a lot of his competitors a platform. I don't think anyone's ever been able to prove that, but there's certainly a lot of circumstantial evidence that supports the idea Murdoch was severely in the ear of the Conservative government to do this. Big boy, here for the nastiness, always here for the nastiness, particularly because the thing I'm referencing is Tony Abbott being all sad that people put up posters calling him a cunt, because he is a cunt. And he's a bit, it's kind of like people who've put in place evil, cruel policies that destroy the lives of humans, acting like saying mean things to them is the real crime here. Well, yeah, sure, I've been responsible for putting asylum seekers in island prison camps where they're tortured, but that person said a mean thing about me, so I'm the real victim here. That is right. Rudd said, I saw Dr. Obama and Facts were saying Rudd straight out said it. He did. He actually did directly state, didn't he, that he says Murdoch was behind the knobbling. But again, he said it, but again, I don't know that he's able to provide actual facts, because, you know, those deals would have been done in secret. There's not going to be a paper trail that goes with them. Yes, if a Murdoch is an oligarch, does not act, we'll talk free market up to the point that it has a negative impact on him, then he's all about protectionism. Big boy, the island torture concentration camps are privately run. So that's another crime. And they cost about 10 times more than housing the asylum seekers in the community. It's just, it was a central part of the political landscape as defined by John Howard in the 90s, turned the issue of refugees and asylum seekers into a racially charged political football. And so literally, I think it's like 10 times more expensive to house these asylum seekers in these offshore fucking concentration camps, 10 times more expensive than having them in the community, and several times more expensive than having them in prison camps on the Australian mainland. But it was their big tagline that these people wouldn't be allowed on the Australian mainland. So it's just absolutely fucking ridiculous. Geez, that's a jagged conversation change there, Justin. Obama's ineligible to be vice president. I'll go out on a limb and say Obama would have no interest in being vice president. I'm not sure how the US Constitution works. I don't know if a former president can be vice president. Dr. Rama, that's a big question. Have I ever tortured myself and watched Sky News? Short answer is no. I have seen bits of it, but I have Foxtel, and even just scrolling through the channel listings, seeing the names on the Sky News thing, it like causes me actual pain. Like, oh my God, this seems so. Oh, look, Credlin, Bolt, Kenny. My God, it's just like a fucking nightmare, the idea of being forced to watch them. It's just, ugh. And they just say the dumbest shit. Like, I often see grabs of it on YouTube, and they just say the dumbest shit. Like, it's it's quite embarrassing, the stupid crap they say. And I notice one of their fuckheads, who's a fucking congenital liar, just cannot stop lying, and in making statements that are such absurd, easily disprovable bullshit, and just not caring. Chris Kenny, noted dog fancier, quit Twitter because apparently he got upset that every time he posted something brain-bendingly fucking stupid, everyone piled on and said, "You're a fucking moron." Ugh. That sounds about right, Dr. Obama. On Sky News, on Alan Jones's show, an unbiased political commentary from Tony Abbott. That sounds just about right, in fact. Gecko, did I see the movie about future private prisons with Van Damme? Fortress. I think I have seen bits of that. Is that an actual commentary on private prisons, or are you just saying that? Oh, that's another one, Justin. Paul Murray on Sky News. Oh, sorry, Dr. Obama. That's real. Oh, fucking weird. Big Boy, what's the deal with the Russian spy wars? Oh, no. I thought you were talking about a joke with a big mustache. That was a beluga whale that fishermen found that had a harness on it that looked like it was designed to carry a camera, which developed this theory that the Russians were trying to use whales for spying purposes, which harkens back to that old movie Day of the Dolphin, where someone was training dolphins to have bombs strapped to them to crash into ships and sink them. And a couple of years ago, there's an incident. I did a video on it somewhere in the Middle East, possibly in Egypt, in fact. There was an incident with a shark, and I don't remember exactly what happened with the shark, if it attacked someone or not, but it ended up with these weirdo politicians saying it was a Mossad-trained spy shark. People say the weirdest shit. They get really paranoid about their opposition. But then you go, are they being paranoid? Or well, I mean, talking about Mossad-trained shark is very weird paranoia. And yes, so I have a good question. Can the whale swim back to some people? The concept that the whale can be trained to do things is a bit far-fetched. But we now know it's virtually impossible to be too paranoid about government surveillance. You know, there's me putting all my views out on the internet for anyone to see, but I've got my phone here. We now know it's trivially easy for a malicious actor, whether it be a government or a criminal type, to access this phone, track my movements, record what I say and do, and certainly keep track of my internet activity. And then when you look at the number of surveillance cameras we have now, what I was saying before about the mirror world, an augmented reality one-to-one digital map of the world inside and outside in the Western world in populated areas, that's virtually inevitable. And that is sort of panopticon level total surveillance at that point. And we all know what governments are like. Little privacy advocates will probably try and come up with ways to defeat these surveillance tools. The government will declare evading this surveillance illegal. They'll say only criminals and terrorists will want to evade this. and they'll call evasion tools criminal behavior. The most likely form of evasion is some form of white noise, and I'm using that in the general sense, like visual or digital white noise, like your digital devices sending so much random, meaningless data that it becomes very hard to track the actual things you're doing, because your digital devices, your internet-connected devices, are sending so much noise that it becomes very hard for someone to track what you're actually doing. And another one that keeps being purported is the concept of infrared LEDs. And these are a form of LEDs that the naked human eye doesn't see, but the majority of surveillance cameras do see. And if you had a hat or clothing that had these infrared emitters on them, they would overload the digital cameras so that you just showed up. You were like a ghost. You'd be like this white noise ghost on the video. My favorite is in a little bit of speculative fiction. First time I heard about this, and they posited someone came up with this infrared emitter that was specifically tuned, that overloaded the digital cameras in such a way that the cameras took this as a glitch and overloaded it, and it went, oh, I'm overriding it. Whatever that's an error. Whatever that there is an error. So I'm going to interpolate data that I saw there before. So you would actually be invisible to the cameras. Again, this was very speculative. Gecko, you're saying IR stuff won't work during the day. Who knows? Justin, the China surveillance system, CCTV, and the social credit, and yes, where you get bad social credit for jaywalking and such, like, yes. But that's an extremely likely future for all of us. Like, I've often speculated, one of the biggest problems self-driving cars will face is when pedestrians realize, oh wait, those cars have to stop if I just step out into traffic. So I don't have to wait for lights or go on crosswalks or whatever. I just walk anyway and the cars have to stop for me. And so cities would become a gridlock. But the government would have to have a thing like a constant surveillance thing with face recognition built in, and you just get a thing to your phone like, well, you just jaywalked, here's a $200 fine. So people would know they're under constant surveillance with face recognition cameras, and if you jaywalk, you get a $200 fine. So yeah. Dr. Obama, did I hear if Labor gets in, Penny Wong will be foreign minister? I did not hear that. Was that a formal announcement that was made? I mean, as I've said before, she's probably my favourite politician in Australia. She's certainly one of the strongest performers Labor have. She should have a very significant role in any Labor government. Hey, nobody, how's it going? Of course, the cops can tap into CCTV stuff. There was an interesting one in America recently. Someone saying they were going to an airport and they go in the boarding thing and they had their boarding pass and they walked up to the gate and the thing just said go through, and no one had looked at their boarding pass, they hadn't scanned it on anything. What happened? Without being told, there was a face recognition system there. There were cameras there that matched the names of the people on the passenger manifest to, and apparently it was Homeland Security's database, then called back to Homeland Security's database for face recognition. And then when this camera recognized you, you could just go on. But people didn't opt into this system, and there was no communication about how they're getting this information. It's just there. It's just like, oh, there's just like face recognition fucking everywhere. You go, and the airline, when the person queried them saying, oh, we don't have the data, we don't store the data, we in fact don't see the data, our system just calls Homeland Security, does the face recognition, and we get a yes, no back from Homeland Security. And it's just like, just reeks of bullshit, particularly the speed with which it happened. It like the airlines, if you work in technology and you heard the airline's explanation, it just reeked of bullshit. Like there's no way they're telling the truth about how this works. But yes, look forward to that happening almost constantly. And look, and businesses buying. Who remembers the Tom Cruise film Minority Report? That as you walk through a shopping mall, the billboards, they were doing iris recognition because that was a plot point, but they won't do iris recognition. They'll do facial recognition. Digital billboards in shopping malls will scan your face and recognize you and go, hey, AngryAussie, you know what you should buy today? And they'll be like, okay, I actually like very few things on Facebook because I know I'm just giving them ammunition for advertising. So I almost never link to things like I'm watching this TV show, this movie, I'm listening to this music. I almost never do that, and I don't do products. My one weakness was, as we all know, the cocktails, and I post about cocktails, and so Facebook is forever serving me up stuff about alcohol, which I'm actually okay with. So, this one thing that Minority Report didn't have, a knowledge of ubiquitous social media, because the facial recognition database will go one better. You'll be walking past a billboard, say it's me, and Facebook knows that I do actually like a drinky or two, and I go past a billboard, it recognizes me, and not a generic ad comes out. Oh, there'd be some, just because someone in the mall wants to pitch to, men over 35, and so an ad just comes up, hey, AngryAussie, you should buy a new pair of jeans. There's this special on today. But it will also do much more narrowly focusing. It finds me and goes, this guy is always talking about booze. And just go, hey, AngryAussie, did you know you can go to, Dan Murphy's and get this on special today? And these will just pop up every fucking 5 meters as you walk along. Mimsy's got a bum at us at the moment. Yeah, milk my man tits. Nice. I like that description, milk my man tits. A 40-year-old Harry Potter who's got a job as a lumberjack. I'm actually okay with that. I will absolutely go in. Yes, Mimsy's staring at the AngryAussie magnets. No, she's just taking it easy. I can make a jump by grabbing a butt, but she wouldn't like that. Yeah, you're right, Safa. eBay, Google, Amazon, Facebook all track you and whatnot, and it is literally only a matter of time until that ties in with public advertising, all your online activity. The facial recognition finds you, matches you to your online activity, and just spits all these digital ads straight. And particularly, we get the stage where we're all wearing smart glasses. So yeah, we don't even have phones anymore. We do augmented reality on smart goggles. So you play games that way. You see movie, news, and TV. overlays of everything that's happening. The phone is like a bone induction thing back here. And so it won't even be physical ads that everyone sees. You just be walking past shops and there'll be an overlay that just goes, hey, Angry Aussie, if you come in here in the next 5 minutes, you'll get this special deal. There'll be a big, big market in blocking that shit. I think that's a good one. What was it? It was in, I think it was in Altered Carbon as a Netflix series, which is pretty good. Not flawless, laid a bit heavy on the sex and sexual violence, which is a bit of a cheap thing in my book. But there was some very good stuff in Altered Carbon, and I think this dude, he gets reanimated in a new body, and he hasn't been animated in the body for a couple of there you go. You were worried about her just showing her butt to us. Now she's going to spread her legs and lick herself while we watch. Classy AF, Bimsy. Classy AF. Yeah, no, I think it was in Altered Carbon, the dude, when he walks into the city, and because he's got like basically internet connected implants in his brain, fucking ads just start going pow, 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 pow. And he's like, what the fuck, what the fuck, what the fuck? And then someone basically sells him an ad blocker. And so life's a bit more manageable. But I reckon some degree of that is basically inevitable. And look, honestly, some value in it for real. Like I said, I mean, I can think of worse things than when I'm out having, you know, smart glasses on, and I can ask them to do particular things. Fucking ad blockers would be a particularly valuable thing, but just like saying who's in this building and whatnot, and I mean, like, you know, I don't want to be too big a nerd, but imagine playing the equivalent of Pokemon Go, where you're not holding the screen on there, where you really see the thing and you really interact with it and throw the or you play shooty games, and you know, you actually get to go pow 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 pow, dive behind bins to hide you, pow 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 pow. I mean, you know, that'd be fucking fun, quite honestly. I think there will always be a place for people who don't want to be that active, who still just want to sit with a console and do that. But augmented reality games out in the wild, in and could you imagine, like, you know, watching esports is very popular. Could you imagine, like, literally going to a sports stadium, like where there was a battle royale type game going on, and no one has any actual weapons, but they're running around in the physical space hiding behind things, and with your augmented reality glasses, you can see the defenses they build, you can see the weapons they have, and it's going pow, pow, pow. And, you know, you just be able to zoom in on particular things, like who's that, what are they doing? Stats come up all over the place. I actually reckon that'd be fucking awesome, quite honestly. Geoffrey Bumder, here a Liberal candidate accidentally spruiking they're raising the pension. That doesn't seem like something they'd accidentally say. That sounds like a big thing that they talk about. I mean, that bullshit with the imputed frank dividends that they keep saying is a tax, it's not. It's some ridiculous vote buying bullshit that John Howard came up with giving rich people money that they never paid tax on. It's fucking insane. Gecko, I still haven't seen Ready Player One. to the best of my knowledge, that's not like that hasn't come out on any of the online services like in Australia, Foxtel or Netflix or anything. Well, I'm going to do a quick search. If I write watch, what are we calling it? Ready Player One. Wait, it is? Oh, it's on Netflix Japan from the sounds of it. Okay, it seems like it's on Hulu. Wait, where to stream and watch? Because I've never seen it advertised. I did actually want to watch it. HBO Go Prime Video. Okay, looks like it's on Prime Video. Yeah. Oh, I know it's on disc. I know I can get it on digital. I just want it to be on something I'm already paying for. Oh, we got fans of the V8 cars. See, I went to college in Bathurst, which has the famous Mount Panorama racetrack. So yeah, I used to have the big car and motorcycle races there various times in the year. Yes, we're all mocking the retiree tax now, but you see the LNP, they're absolutely shameless. Like they had a guy on TV this week bemoaning how unfair it was. There's this fucking retiree and he's complaining from his fucking yacht. And it's like the changes Labor are talking about doing, which is basically just rolling back this horseshit that John Howard introduced, which is just common sense. To be affected by it, you have to have millions of dollars in assets. For instance, the whole, it's not a pension tax because if you qualify for any pension at all, including partial pension, you're not affected by it. The only people affected by it are people who have so much fucking money they don't qualify for pension. In fact, you have to have assets in the millions of dollars to be affected by this. And it's just the biggest load of horseshit. Ridiculous. Hey, look, we're at the second half. Maybe I should make a cocktail. Ugh, no. That the only people who regard Howard and Costello as the best economic managers are Liberal Party voters. No one impartial thinks they are. It was just this bullshit line they brought. Now, a fuzzy navel, that's one of the funniest drinks ever. Oh, it's just peach schnapps and orange juice. What a shitty drink. Singapore Slings, brandy, cherry brandy, gin, Cointreau, and a sweetener, and some soda water. Frosty Armour, love the sound of that. Don't know what it is. Vodka, apricot brandy, Southern Comfort, Parfait Amour, creme de banane. Oh my God, I want to try and find that stuff, actually. There's a really nice bar in the city that I found not that long ago. And hey, I used to always say Facebook advertising is useless, but I've actually found a couple of venues I like through Facebook. And this one's called the Trinket Bar. They do nice food and nice drinks. And they have this one, it's basically Scotch and this banana liqueur called creme de banane. It's fucking great. Like it basically tastes like Scotch, but this other stuff takes the edge off, and you've got this just really mild banana flavor. Oh man, it's good. I forget what they call it, but it's really good. Oh, so that was a fun one. Costello actually had a deal with Howard. Howard was going to hand over the reins to him and retire, but then Howard got convinced he was the only one who could win the next election, and Costello couldn't, and so he reneged on the deal. So Costello got the shits and quit, and then Howard lost his own seat at the next election, which was fucking hilarious. He went from being their most successful PM in modern history to the inglorious end of losing his own seat in a general election. Just fucking hilarious. But yeah, right. I'm still trying to find. This has a lot of recipes I don't recognize, and which are not all good, honestly. Liqueurs. I'm in the liqueur section. What do I want? Tequila, a whiskey. I do like a whiskey cocktail. Rum cocktail, vodka cocktail. What have we got in the whiskey cocktails? An old-fashioned, which is the Rusty Nail, Scotch and Drambuie. Actually, Drambuie is one of the few things I don't have. A Sea Dog. That's a great name for a drink. So that's a sweetener, sugar cubes, or I'd probably use syrup. Bitters, orange wedges, lemon wedges. That's a lot. How do they all fit in? That's a lot of wedges. Scotch and Benedictine, and topped with soda water. The Millionaire Cocktail. Bourbon, Cointreau, Grenadine, and egg white. Oh, I like an egg white cocktail. So after airplanes have cocktails as drink. If you're in first class, I think. Oh, Mofo, Witness K, yeah, the guy who was the whistleblower about Australia spying on East Timor, and now they're trying to and getting like 3 life sentences or something. It's outrageous what they're doing to him. I think I might make a millionaire cocktail. Unless I find a better one. Ooh, duck soup. That's a great name for one, isn't it? Bourbon, apricot brandy, lemon juice, pineapple juice, sugar. I could do a variation on that because I have an apple pear brandy and I have a pineapple coconut juice. I could do a variation on a duck soup. The modern cocktail, that's a fun name, isn't it? The modern cocktail. That's scotch and rum and absinthe. Ooh, and orange bitters, lemon juice. See, I'm a sucker for ones that have absinthe. And I've got scotch and dark rum and bitters. I could do that one. Ooh, I'm a bit torn. Another one with creme de banane in it. I think I'm going to have to get that. I've got a stupid amount of alcohol. Kentucky Colonel, bourbon, apricot brandy, grapefruit juice, grenadine. A plank walker, scotch, vermouth, and chartreuse. Got some chartreuse. An Algonquin, rye or Canadian whiskey, vermouth, and pineapple juice. Pamplemousse, whiskey, Southern Comfort, grapefruit juice, and pineapple syrup. Rocky Mountain. I reckon. A Grenoble. What's that? Bourbon creme de framboise. Don't have that. Choice. I've got to choose. Do I want an egg white cocktail or an absinthe cocktail? Was Howard a racist? Howard made racism a central plank in Australian politics, a fact for which I will not forgive him. He is fucking scum and has destroyed public discourse in Australia. He's absolute scum. So then I've nailed it down to either a millionaire cocktail, which is bourbon, Cointreau, grenadine, and egg white. That sounds pretty good. Or what was the other one I saw that I liked the sound of? This is it, the modern cocktail. Scotch, dark rum, absinthe, bitters, and lemon juice. Fox, I'll tell you what, I learned the reason I like egg white cocktails is it makes them very frothy. And I made an egg white one with absinthe, and absinthe does whatever chemical reaction with the egg white and stops it from being frothy. It breaks down the egg white froth. You know, you get this, like certain things, if you put them in like in bubble bath, it makes all the bubbles go away. Something about absinthe and the nature of absinthe breaks down all the foam made by egg white. So absinthe doesn't really go with an egg white and I learned that from experience. I could do both. I don't have to be anywhere tomorrow. That's a bit much, isn't it? I'm going to try a millionaire because I like, I've got some bourbon, Cointreau, grenadine, egg white. I'm going to do that. Now I've got to get a few things ready to do that. Oh, Dr. Morris, did Howard also fuck over the referendum? Yes, he deliberately stacked the referendum with people who had a vested interest in making the referendum fail. So of course it failed. He set the parameters for the Republic referendum. He stacked it so that it was doomed to fail. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to make a what did I say I was going to make? A millionaire cocktail. Okay. So I've got to get bourbon. There's not much left of this giant thing I have. Not that much left in it. I'm sure grenadine's just here, I think. Yes. Grenadine's just here. And egg white. I've got to get my egg white out of the fridge. What's the use by date? Heaps of time. It says the 20th. I want my cocktail shaker. There you go. The old tiki mug. Right. Okay. So, we've got a tiki mug, and I'll do a big ice cube in that. Chill the glass a bit. Classy. All right. So I'm not going to. I am going to shake the cocktail to get it foamy, but I'm not going to put ice in the shaker. It's called a dry shake. You guys want to know? It kind of sounds like when you can't pee properly, a dry shake. But that makes the egg white foamier. So, looking at the instruction again, 1.5 measures of bourbon and 3/4 Cointreau. Okay, let's do that. Safa, Howard went through some trials and tribulations in opposition. He was the opposition leader, got knocked off by Andrew Peacock, who then lost an election, and Howard came back. So he was opposition leader twice, yes. What's that, Luke? Shake it more than 3 times. It's gay if you shake it. Right, Cointreau, a little bit of Cointreau. I had a friend who said I should do a not Snapchat, the other photo social media, Instagram, said I should do an Instagram dedicated to making cocktails, which I like the idea of. I just have to get motivated to do it. Okay. And grenadine. How much grenadine am I supposed to put in? Shake all the ingredients with ice. Oh, dude, you don't know how. Just a dash of grenadine, okay. That'll do. Oh yes, I did see Japan has a new emperor. Is it Akihito abdicated? It's the first time in ages a Japanese emperor has abdicated. Hey, Miss Foxification, how are you doing? Right, we've got to do the shaky, shaky, shaky. We shake a lot because we want it to be foamy. I like the foamy thing. But Japan might have a Y2K bug. What are we calling a Y2K bug in this context, Safa? I don't think Japan would have been that worried about Y2K, because what I learned when I was working in a bank that wanted to expand into China, well, they did want to expand it all through Asia, China and whatnot, and Japan. Japan is really fixated on paper records. If you're going to run banking in Japan, you have to prove to them you have adequate paper backups for everything. It's interesting. All right, so this is a millionaire cocktail. Don't know if I've had it or made it before, but I like the sound of it. Okay, it needs to chill a bit more. Like, I probably should have shaken it with ice, but I like it gets foamier if you don't shake it with ice. I'll just let it sit in there. Oh, I see, Safa. They have, because they have their own imperial dating system. They might be giving themselves a Y2K problem. Well, in their favor, because we've had a Y2K issue, and what we now know in retrospect, really the only things that had to be made Y2K compliant were safety systems, anything that was measuring time as part of their safety. And this went down to like use by dates on food, or they found a thing with oil rigs that were measuring the amount of oil or gas depending on the sort of thing they were doing. That was time dependent, so it needed to be Y2K compliant. And billing systems you needed to fix, because of course billing systems are based on time. All you really needed to fix ahead of time was safety systems and billing systems. And then after the fact, anything that broke, you could probably just act quickly to do a workaround. This obsession that ended up happening, which was honestly more than a bit of a scam from a lot of consultancies, but this obsession that everything had to be Y2K compliant was bullshit. What you needed was, like I said, to make safety systems and billing systems Y2K compliant, and everything else you can probably fix after the fact. If it breaks after the fact, you can work out how to fix it. I heard about the GPS fix bug too, Miss Foxification. Yeah, computer systems are funny things, aren't they? It's interesting. It's not going to be my favorite cocktail, the millionaire. I'd probably want to experiment with the volumes a bit. Yeah, it's okay. It's definitely not going to be my favorite, but yes. The Unix time apocalypse is coming. Womp, womp, womp. Dr. Ramirez, I did hear there was a problem with 32-bit processors as well. There's, again, computer systems are wild. I remember reading as a website, I assume it's still around. I don't know if he still updates it, but I used to read a lot. It was called Joel on Software. This guy started his own company, but he was a senior engineer at Microsoft in the 90s. Joel on Software, he's the guy, he actually started Stack Overflow, Joel Spolsky. Nerds will know that. His most recent update is at the end of March. They were looking for a new CEO for Stack Overflow. Oh my God, so that was the only update in the last year was to say they want a new CEO for Stack Overflow. He was the CEO and he wanted someone to replace him. But he's written some really amazing things. There's one he had, it was called the Bill meeting or something. It's like if you're a senior engineer, you had to present directly to Bill Gates, which was apparently very stressful. And because Bill Gates was very smart and very demanding. And this guy, Joel Spolsky, was working on Excel. And they worked out, because you can do all sorts of weird shit with Excel, including a bunch of stuff you probably shouldn't do. It's one of Excel's biggest problems is how flexible it is and how much you can do with it. Like, people use it as a fucking database, and they absolutely shouldn't. They absolutely should not. But they can, and so they often do, and they end up stretching Excel past its capabilities, and some system critical fucking database they've built crashes and they lose everything. So it's weird that one of the strengths of Excel, and that you can do all this wild shit with it, is also a problem with it. But they knew there was a problem because you could do a lot of date dependent stuff in Excel, and they had an algorithm to calculate dates. But there are some weird anomalies around leap years and whatnot. That means you had to have this weird workaround if you went back a certain number of years, because the default algorithm would end up being wrong. It's right 99% of the time, but on particular dates it would be wrong. And you had to have this weird workaround. And it was basically just like an extra line of code. If date X, then do this. And they discovered this in the programming stage, and thank God, we've got to come up with some hacky fucking workaround to deal with this. And they work on it. And that was one of the things Bill Gates put to him in this presentation, just with no warning. Just went, you better fucking know about April 15th, 1928. You went, oh yeah, we have to do X, Y, Z. And Gates went, all right. Because Gates had a couple of things that were like the most arcane bits of knowledge about Excel. And he thought there was a good chance this schmuck who was presenting to him wouldn't know them. And so he fired them off like fucking sniper bullets. And this guy actually happened to know them, because clearly Gates had caught people on this in the past. And yeah, and apparently in the course of his presentation, Gates only muttered "fuck" under his breath 4 times, and all the old hands at Microsoft said, oh, that's really good. If he doesn't actually yell at you, that's really good. And if the number of times he mutters "fuck" doesn't hit double figures, you've done really well. So him only saying "fuck" 4 times was actually a pretty good achievement. Like, one of the big differences between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was much more a high concept person and even more about the marketing than the codings. But Gates was a hardcore programming maths nerd. And Jobs absolutely wasn't. Yeah, no, Dr. Obama, Bill Gates was like, he's got this really funny, nerdy public image. But in the 90s in Microsoft, he was a real blokey bloke. And until Microsoft got really big and he had to be a bit more responsible, it was all boys. He used to always do the thing like, you know, when the programmers hit a milestone, they'd all go out to a strip club, and then he'd pay the dancers to come back to his home in Seattle where the party was continuing, and they would swim nude in the pool while all the nerds went, boobies. But, you know, rightly so, you can't really get away with that in big companies. You shouldn't even do it in small companies, quite honestly, because it just creates an inappropriate environment. Dr. Obama, that's an interesting and accurate analogy. Gates is like Rudd, the nerdy public persona, but angry and swearing a lot behind the scenes. Oh my God, look, Bonzi Buddy. Holy shit. Oh my God, I'd forgotten about that. That brings back so much memories. Bonzi Buddy was this weird little fucking cartoon avatar you had on your screen, and you do particular things to get treats for your Bonzi Buddy. Oh my God. Bonzi Buddy was kind of like a PC version of a Tamagotchi. God, we had weird shit in the 90s when people were trying to work out what they could do with software and what they could do with the internet. We had lots of weird shit that was like everywhere for a year or two, and then disappeared completely. That's a good way of describing misclassification. Clippy on crack. And screensavers, although, okay, technically PCs all still have screensavers, but in the 90s, screensavers were serious business. Like, you invested a lot of your personality into what screensaver you had. They were such a big deal. I mean, I have a screensaver on my PC that's just an image one. I've got an image directory, and it's got several thousand high-def images I downloaded from Imgur. So a lot of them are nerdy, and some are landscapes and whatnot. There's thousands of images in this file. So if the screensaver kicks in, it changes the image on the screen. Yeah, Justin, Clippy, as we were just talking about. Bonzi Buddy was like Clippy on crack. Someone started from Microsoft Bob. I think Microsoft Bob was never even launched in Australia. Someone else might correct me, but I literally never saw Microsoft Bob. And then I'd see some American magazines referencing it, and like, what the fuck is this? Because that was a digital assistant that was terrible. Everyone hated it, and they killed it really quickly. They thought they'd been really clever having this, digital assistant that helped you with things, and it just got in the way and didn't work and was fucked, and everyone hated it, and so they got rid of it. I don't think it ever even rolled out to Australia. Yes, Dr. Obama, the fish tank background that installed malware on your PC. That was a big thing. All those really dodgy sites. It was like going on LimeWire and downloading what you thought was a song, but was actually malware. But what was the one I really liked? There was that whole package of screensavers, the most famous of which was the flying toasters. But they had all these other really cool ones, one with little balls that dropped down, and one that was like this worm thing where these worms, or you call them maggots, I guess, that ate little paths through your screen. I think the package of them was called California something. And fuck, they were cool. I really liked them. God, we had weird shit in the 90s. My first one, the Real Democracy Now! Podcast you're recommending is about democracy in Australia, including the interview with Anthony Green. It must be a bit weird for people in the rest of the world when they see Australians online talking about elections, that everyone starts referencing Anthony Green and how much we trust Anthony Green, and has Anthony Green called the election yet? I think the rest of the world must be going, what the fuck are you talking about? What in the actual fuck are you talking about? And yeah, it's just that he's the ABC selection analyst and he's very careful about what he says and he's nearly always right. Oh yes, the hyperspace warp stuff. I know Apple computers still have some built-in really high def screensavers that are really organic and really beautiful. Because sometimes when I'm in a workplace where someone's got a Mac and I'll see the screensaver because I've been using Windows PCs forever, and so remembering that Macs have certain things, and they have these really organic and seriously beautiful screensavers. I had a thing, it wasn't a screensaver, it was like a desktop toy, and it was all these weapons, and you could shoot things up on your screen and blow things up on your screen. Like it would take a picture of your desktop, and then you'd select different weapons, and you'd shoot things up. I saw stripper wallpapers. I actually remember stripper wallpapers. God, we had weird shit in the 90s. We had really fucking strange stuff in the 90s. Sparks would go to the magnifying glass. You could burn ants and things. Yeah. When people, even just the internet, when it was dial-up, people were really pushing shit to its limit, trying to put really tricky stuff on their web pages, and it just would not fucking load over dial-up. You'd be sitting there going, man, this loading symbol's been going for a very long time. And like all the GeoCities pages that had the animated cartoon GIFs, which is weird. We've come full circle now. Now we communicate in video reaction GIFs. I'm old enough that when we talk about animated GIFs, meant the little cartoon things that ran on really short loops. But now we have sometimes quite high def video animated GIFs that we use to communicate. Sure. That's a good old school prank, Gecko. Screenshot the desktop and then make that the background image and actually hide the desktop icons, and the person is trying to click on icons and nothing's happening. Yeah, but that was GeoCities. GeoCities was full of the animated GIFs. And I like simple pranks, like when we first got our laser mice, just putting a bit of tape over the laser on the mice. And people going, why isn't my mouse fucking working? And it would be ages before they looked under it and see that you'd stuck a Post-it note over the laser or something. Oh God, Gecko, you didn't see your manager and he still hadn't fixed it a week later. So you asked him why he didn't use the desktop icons. He was going, I don't know, they don't work, I can't figure it out. Being defeated that easily is like really fucking... After Dark, that's the one I was trying to think of, Gecko. There was a collection called After Dark that had some really good screensavers in it. I remember the Beastie Boys had one that I really liked that I had installed for a while. And some people didn't like because people were always trying to push screensavers to the most detailed graphics they could be based on the power of the PC. Nobody, you're heading off, about to pass off. Good night. But the Beastie Boys did this one that was deliberately lo-fi. It was like cut and paste images with some of the words from some of their most famous tracks. And I just liked it because it was really counterintuitive. Like everyone was always trying to make their screensavers as high def as possible. And Beastie Boys did this one that was really lo-fi. It was very low resolution, and it was literally like little images cut and pasted onto the screen. And I quite liked it. Gecko, I'm not going to be able to look at that at the moment. Describe the video I would enjoy. Windows XP destruction. That does sound like fun. He installs Bonsai Buddy. I do remember one of the online magazines or websites, might have been Wired, I don't know, but someone who was big in the 90s, they did this thing, because you're always being told, don't install those screensavers, don't do that desktop stuff, because it fucks up your computer and it's got viruses and malware. And they did an experiment that how long can my computer survive? Like if I click on fucking everything on these web pages that install all this shit that they say to install, how long before it kills my PC? Much like what Dr. Obama's saying, Bonsai Buddy kills a Windows XP install. These guys said it's not long at all. Like so much of this stuff this is like late 90s, I think it was, mid to late 90s. So much of the stuff that was out there on the internet was so malicious. I think within one day they killed their PC. They installed dozens of things that web pages said to install, and they just killed their PC. It just ground to a halt and died. All right. Now, that millionaire did not really do anything for me. What was the other one that I saw that I liked? It was the artist special. Scotch, brown, sherry, lemon juice, and grenadine. That's not it. Where is it? Where's the one I thought I liked the sound of? Not the buckaroo, not the sea dog. Not the New York, not the old fashioned. I lost it. What was the thing? No, it wasn't the duck soup. I wanted to look at it. It's the modern. So that's Scotch, rum. I've got dark rum, absinthe, curacao. Okay, I'm going to try that. Oh my God, no, Safa, there are literally hundreds of drinks in this book, Safa. It's a bit outlandish what you suggest, making them all. Timothy Hatton, yes or no? Yes, I like Game of Thrones. And I'm going to say more than yes or no. I thought they basically dragged it a bit too long. The tension, I mean, it had me. Like on the one hand, I'm saying the resolution of that episode, with the Army of the Dead attacking Winterfell, I thought, okay, they dragged on too long. They put like every character in this and I mean every character in this desperate, about to die situation. And I thought they dragged it on too much. But I'm also willing to say I was literally on the edge of my seat. Like I was hunched over going, fucking hell. And it probably stretched that out for about, I'm not exaggerating, like 15 minutes longer than I thought they would. Before they got any resolution. It was pretty full on. I think next week I'm going to give people a week to watch Game of Thrones episodes. I think next week I want to talk in detail about the Battle of Winterfell, because I have thoughts and feelings on it. It's a really, really full on episode. Yeah. All right. I reckon I am going to make the modern cocktail. I just need to rinse my shaker, and this time I am going to shake it with ice. So I'm just going to be slightly off screen and rinse my cocktail shaker. drop something. Right. Cocktail shaker. And probably put my egg white back in the fridge because I'm going to use that anymore. Mimsy's just down on the floor over there just looking at me like, what are you doing? So what do I want? I want dark. Okay, I'll put some things back. Put this back. I'm going to use this scotch. This is actually scotch with a rock candy called Butterballs dessert mix. So these are like butterscotch. Put the grenadine back. Put the Cointreau back. The Kraken dark rum. I want absinthe. No, where's that? It's hiding back here. Absinthe is hiding back here. What's in the modern? Scotch, dark rum, absinthe. Actually, maybe I do want a dash of this in it. Say orange bitters. Maybe I'll put a dash of Angostura in it. And lemon juice. Okay. Lemon juice. Okay. That's all the components. Ready to rock and roll. I love that oblique reference. You like the Battle of Winterfell, but didn't like the Independence Day Phantom Menace mothership factor. You're being a bit too oblique. I don't actually know what you're referencing with that. Ugh, Dr. Barr, two reasons I'm like rolling my eyes at the various media outlets going on about Shorten didn't win the election debate is first because fuck them. And second, because I think the debates are stupid anyway. All right, so measures. Wow, 2 measures. Okay. Strong fucking drink. I might not do that much because I'm not that hardcore on scotch. Maybe it was. I'm going to do less than 2 measures. 1.5 maybe. It's still going to be a fucking strong drink. Okay, the scotch. A little bit of dark rum. Okay. So this is a little bit creative. A little bit of dark rum. Doesn't necessarily say spiced rum, which is what the Kraken is, but that's what I'm going with anyway. What else does it say to put in? Ooh, just ein splasho of absinthe. A splash of the old absinthe in there. Probably enough. I'm going to put a splash of this stuff in here as well. Oh my God. Yeah. No, Dr. Barber, no. See, that's the thing that makes me super fucking angry, and I have seen them saying that. Some dipshit saying, oh, body language expert says Morrison won because he's more conservative. I'm like, no, fuck you, you fucking pieces of shit. If you're going to talk about who's putting forward the best case to be Prime Minister, it should be based on the fucking quality of the policies they put forward, not who sounded the most confident. It's like, burn in hell, you fucking pieces of shit. It's like there was a thing with people in the media saying, oh, geez, Morrison's having a more dynamic election campaign. He's always doing things. I don't care that he's giving you photo ops, you fucking pieces of shit. I care about policy. Oh, give me a little shaky shake of the modern cocktail. Enough of that. What colour is it? Oh, it's very brown. It's a very brown drink. which is somewhat predictable, I guess, based on what went in there. So what is it? I wonder what it looks like on camera. It looks a bit orangey brown on camera, which is kind of a nice color. Smells pretty good. Oh no, this is better. This is absolutely better than the last one. Didn't hate the last one, but I didn't do anything for it. Ooh, and because this one's Scotch rather than bourbon, the very last taste is like that smoky edge that Scotch has, which is nowhere near as smoky as, say, tequila or particularly mezcal, which kind of smells and tastes like an ashtray, but in a good way, which is weird because I hate smoking. Right? But the first time I smelled and tasted mezcal, which is tequila's smokier cousin, I literally smelled that smells like an ashtray. But there's also something nice about it. Because yeah, to me, that's one of the most negative things I could say about something, short of actually saying that smells like literal shit. Saying something smells like an ashtray is a very negative thing for me to say. But yeah, mezcal's like an ashtray, but in a good way. I suppose someone who's like into like smoked meats and stuff might say, no, it's that sort of smoke. So sort of smoke that you get like in smoked meats or smoked cheeses. Gecko, you bought one of the more expensive. This is a Johnny Walker. Oh, yeah, it was on special at Costco. I think it's a 10-year-old Johnny Walker. So it's not the really cheap ones, but it was actually on special and it was like a big ass bus. It was a litre, so it's not that big. Costco sells some very big bottles. Like they sell 1.75 litres, and those are like big. Like that bottle of bourbon I had before was like a 1.75 litre bottle of bourbon, fucking huge. I think I bought it like I don't know, 6 months or a year ago, and it's still there. Somebody's like, look at all the alcohol. You're so shrink. No, it takes a really fucking long time to go through any of these bottles because I only have little bits of different ones. And of course, you have your core ones that are the base of a lot of cocktails, vodka and gin and whiskey and rum. They're like your staples for making cocktails. But all these other things, they're little flavor enhancers, so they get used in tiny amounts. Aussie Gecko, so the Johnny Walker was too smoky to do more than a shot. But okay, so you had 18-year Glenfiddich, and that was amazing. So okay, so that's your personal taste. So I know, yeah, a lot of the older scotches are smokier. Oh look, good scotch is wasted on me. Like you get those people who go, this is an Islay malt. I don't really enjoy drinking straight scotch, even the expensive ones. So I feel like it's wasted on me. I have done it. So for those Johnny Walker ads, I find super weird, the Keep Walking ones. There's one that has Harvey Keitel in it, talking about being an actor and stage fright, and then drink Johnny Walker. So the message of the Harvey Keitel stage fright ones seems to be, hey, overcome stage fright by getting shit-faced on Johnny Walker. Dr. Obama, did I hear about school climate protest tomorrow? No, I did not. Is that like a wildcat, no notice school climate strike? Yeah, that's it. The old saying, misfoxification, Dutch courage. Do people still use that? Do younger people here not know the phrase Dutch courage? That was the idea of, oh, I can't do this, I need to have to. And that was even like, I can't talk to that girl unless I have a belt of this. Bit of Dutch courage. Gecko, that became you're right, that became a celebrity thing to buy smaller distilleries and put their name on it. Deadpool bought an interest in Aviator Gin, Matthew McConaughey does the ads for one of the big bourbon companies. I don't remember which one. It's not Southern Comfort. Is it Jack Daniels? Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds bought an interest in Aviator Gin and promotes it. I bought some tequila once that had Justin Timberlake's name on it. Fox, at 28, you are most definitely young. Okay? 28 is when you first start thinking, I don't think I'm young anymore. But you are. You're young. Dr. Obama, I'm 1,000,000% kids doing a protest outside climate change dying MPs' offices. I have seen Kingsman 2, Gecko. It's a fun film. Dr. Obama, are you seriously only 15? Okay, that, my friend, is very young. Kingsman 2 is fun. The American equivalent of the Kingsman, they run a bourbon distillery, don't they? I mean, we're talking about celebrity spirits. I've seen Ron Jeremy rum. I've seen a bunch of alcohols with the Rolling Stones name on it. Seen stuff with AC/DC's name on it. There was even a storyline in that TV series Entourage with a fictional movie star wanting to buy an interest in a small family tequila distillery. There you go. See, so nice having you here, Miss Foxification, for the Google results. The popular story about the term Dutch courage is it dates back to English soldiers fighting in the Anglo-Dutch Wars in the I always get this mixed up, 17th century, 1650, perhaps as early as the 30 Years' War, which was early in the 17th century. So for angry flavored cocktail, yeah, look, as I said, friends of mine have said I should do a cocktail-themed Instagram, and I maybe will. Oh, Jesus, Gecko, you drink Everclear. Fucking hell. Okay. That's hardcore. I basically tend to not drink straight spirits. Like I said, I think Scotch is wasted. This one, okay, like I have all these skull decanters. This one was Crystal Head vodka. And I find that Crystal Head is much smoother than a lot of vodkas. I can drink Crystal Head vodka straight. I mean, it's not my favorite thing to do. I think on one live stream, because I've still got these tiny little Crystal Head skull bottles that I got from duty free, and I don't drink them very often. I think I drank a whole one of those on a live stream once. Yes, Crystal Head's from the Phantom movie, Gecko. Yes, but I've got God, how many different size skull bottles or decanters do I have? I've got one really big one. Then the next biggest size, the big one probably holds a litre, and it's meant to be a decanter. It came in a set that I got from like a $2 shop. It obviously cost more than $2. I think it cost less than 20. It was this big skull decanter and 4 skull shot glasses. Oh yeah, while we're talking about celebrities and spirits, Dan Aykroyd promotes Crystal Head vodka. Yeah. So the biggest one I have, I think, holds about a litre, and I bought that as a decanter. Next one is the 700 ml Crystal Head bottles. The next biggest, I have a bunch of these ones, which again I got from a $2 shop. And these only cost me about $3 or $4. These hold about 300 mils, 350 mils. And then I've got some that are about half that size that I saw them and I thought that could be good for parties if I'm going to play barman at party too. So I think they hold about the smaller ones hold about 100, somewhere between 100 and 200 mils. And then I've got these little crystal head ones that I got from duty free that hold about 50 mils. Oh, Gecko, sure, a bottle looks like a full-sized rifle. I bet it was tequila. There's a tradition to bottle tequila in bottles shaped like rifles. Yard glasses. Oh, Gecko, not only do we have yard glasses in Australia, former Prime Minister of Australia is renowned for when he was at Oxford University having set a speed record for drinking a yard of ale. And that was in the 70s, and a record that's probably, maybe even the 60s, a record that has probably been broken since, but was reputed to have lasted for quite a long time. Bobby Hawke having a record for the fastest consumption of a yard of ale while he was at Oxford University. And he became our Prime Minister. He was a big union guy. From what happened to Mimsy? She's just down here, Dr. Obama. She likes to roam around a bit. Do you want to come back up here, Mimsy? People are missing you. I tap up here, sometimes she comes back. No? No? No, she's just looking at me. She's just looking at me. It reminds me, there was some, I don't know if the CIA released them or some whistleblower released them, but there were some CIA files from the 70s that were released, and the file on Bob Hawke was funny because he was a major pisshead, but he was like the head of the biggest union organization, the ACTU, and then he became Labor leader, became Prime Minister. But yeah, okay, from the union movement and the Labor Party, but he was from the right wing of the union movement, the anti-communist wing of the union movement and the Labor Party. And he was very pro-America. And apparently the CIA evaluation of Bob Hawke when he was still ACTU leader, before he went into the Labor Party, was he was very pro-America. He was a good ally, but they were just worried about what a pisshead he was. They thought he was vulnerable to exploitation because of what a pisshead he was. Loogie, good morning to you. What am I? Oh my God, Venezuela's fucked, isn't it? Look, I think Venezuela is too complex for a dickhead like me to make a sweeping statement about. Again, like the US interference in South America has such a long history. It's so hard to be sure of, well, what percentage of things that went wrong in any South American country were the product of corruption and mismanagement of that country's government, and what percentage of things going wrong were American interference. Because America interferes so much in South American, particularly left-wing or socialist regimes, it's impossible to know what's really going on. Gecko, a manual account was 0% is very rare and stable. Yeah, I used to actually know that song. There's nothing Nietzsche couldn't teach you about the bending of the wrist. Socrates himself was permanently pissed. Was it Heidegger was a bugger for the bottle or something? I don't know. Anyway. Dr. Obama, was it true that Hawke and Reagan weren't that chummy? I do not know anything conclusive, my friend, but I would suspect that Hawke was not a particular fan of Reagan or Thatcher. And of course, Reagan and Thatcher were together in the 80s. And while Hawke was broadly pro-America, I could imagine him not being a fan of Reagan or Thatcher. And Reagan and Thatcher were super pally. The good old days. My youth, when we thought we were going to die in nuclear war, as opposed to today, when we're worried we're going to die in a climate apocalypse of our own making. I don't know if we will come up with we know what the solution is. We know what to do to avoid climate catastrophe. I just don't know if we will do it. It's incredibly disturbing that we know exactly what to do to avert climate catastrophe, and yet I don't know if we're going to do it. This Foxification, was anyone a fan of Thatcher? Lots of people were. My mate Frank, for anyone who follows me on social media, particularly Facebook, but also YouTube and Twitter as well. No, my mate Frank, Frankie the Skin, he's done a bunch of animations that I use in my videos as backgrounds. He's a Thatcher fan. He's British, skinhead, but he's old school. He admits that he went through a phase of being a very reactionary bigot and particularly anti-Islam, but then a young Muslim woman took a bit of time to talk to him and say, look, you've had your views coloured by the media. I'm an actual Muslim. Talk to me and ask me questions. And Frank talked to someone and listened to them and understood. And he went, oh, I think I was on the wrong track there. But Frank is conservative. He's very pro-Tory. He's a fan of Thatcher. He was a fan of George Bush. Oh, yeah, Safa, Howard loved Thatcher. But Frank and I get on because neither of us sort of talk shit to the other, basically. So, yeah, it's weird. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm not a fan of Thatcher or her policies, but who here has seen the movie The Iron Lady, where Meryl Streep plays Margaret Thatcher? I think that's a pretty good movie, and I think it does a good job of showing that even the supposedly progressive Labour Party did a bunch of misogynistic shit to Margaret Thatcher. There was a lot of times where they did not attack her on policy. They attacked her because she was a woman. And while I'm a Labour supporter and a Tory opponent and a Thatcher opponent, it is absolutely, definitely a statement of fact that when she was leader of the Conservatives in the UK, there was a lot of times the attacks the Labour Party did on Thatcher were misogynist rather than going after her policies. That is definitely true. It means he's in the background, is she? But people can see you back there, Mimsy. She doesn't really want to go out. She stays in at night. Shadow, our other cat, who you never see on the live streams because she's far more antisocial, she goes out at night and sleeps on my bed during the day. Mimsy will go out during the day and she sleeps on my bed at night. She sleeps next to me at night. Joe, who put the Charlie and Special K in your price? Joe, you've been eating contaminated prawns? Is that what you're saying? Oh, Safa, absolutely. Gillard was subject to misogynistic attacks, and not just from the Conservatives. People who were very much, Labour Party people were very misogynistic towards Gillard. Absolutely. Dr. Obama, do I want Corbyn to be UK PM? Yeah, just to see what happens, quite honestly. I'm not sure about Corbyn, but I just want to see what would happen with him as PM. Oh, the Heretic, you're late. It's after 10 o'clock. Do I have to do anything tomorrow? I've got a second wind. Like, seriously, in the first half hour of this live stream, I could not stop yawning. But now it's like 2 hours in, and I've got like a second wind. My God. Fox, I reckon the Rudd and Gillard governments did fantastic things for Australia. Absolutely. I'm very much a believer in that. But then again, you know, I've never made any secret about how partisan I am. Mr. Nine, yeah, you're right. Look, and it's important when you are on, you know, the progressive or left side of things to acknowledge when the party that you primarily support does shitty things. People in the Australian Labor Party have been guilty of homophobia and misogyny and just general bigotry. Yeah, Gecko, the first half hour, I thought I was going to fucking fall asleep. Seriously, I couldn't stop yawning. Now, 2 hours in, I got a second one. I'm just thinking, do I have to do anything tomorrow? I don't have to do anything tomorrow. I'm going to fucking keep going. There was probably having 2 cocktails in the last half hour that has got me going, I could keep going. I could fucking keep going. I could do it. Mr. Nine, you're heading off, my friend. Good night to you. I think Mims is going to come back and say hello to us. She's down here. Going to come up here? Go up here. Everyone misses you. She's a funny old thing. Yeah, Miss Foxification, I think you're right. Mims is there. You can see it. Come up here. Then everyone can see you. Or come and sit on my lap. She rubs her face on things to get automatic scritches. Now she's on my lap. But you can see her tail. But she's slightly out of thing. The Heretic, the Chaz and Dave years were the best. Gecko, I haven't had any caffeine. My last drink of Pepsi was a couple of hours ago. In fact, I think because I do have, I'm very careful with when I drink in relation to when I go to bed. Now, here's the thing, on the live streams, because even if I don't drink alcohol, I usually have to drink something just to keep my vocal cords lubricated so I can keep talking to you. And then that usually results in me having to get up sometime during the night and pee. But if I'm not doing this, I'm normally very conscious of, I'm not going to drink any liquid after like 8 p.m. I'm certainly not going to drink any Pepsi after 8 p.m. A, so I can sleep, and B, so I don't have to get up to piss during the night. But because I drink during these live streams, usually I make sure I don't drink anything for at least an hour or more before doing the live stream, so I don't have to take a piss during the live stream. So I don't drink for an hour or more before the live stream, then take a piss just before live. But this is behind the curtains. I'm sharing all the secrets with you. Take a piss before the live stream, so I can then go 2 hours and have a couple of drinks to keep my vocal cords lubricated and not have to do a piss. But I will have to get up during the night and have a piss. Mark, what do I think of Clive? He's a piece of shit. He's a lying, narcissistic, self-promoting piece of shit. I'm fascinated to see what happens in the election, like, because he spent millions of dollars on advertising. I'm fascinated to see to what degree that translates to votes. I'm absolutely fascinated, but he's a lying narcissistic prick. Why am I making my life difficult by trying to say words like narcissistic? Oh, Dr. Obama. Oh God, when Gillard got Wong to say marriage equality, was thinking, look, yeah, and I've had this discussion, and what I feel happened is that is a classic example of how shit politics gets. Because Gillard was just under attack on so many levels. Look, Gillard was an atheist. She wasn't opposed to marriage equality, But I feel like she just pulled Penny Wong in at some point and said, I literally can't survive being attacked on one more front. If we go out there, I'm being attacked on so many fronts. If we go out there and say, let's introduce marriage equality, I won't survive it. Can you get on board and say you support the government not pushing for marriage equality? And Penny Wong just got pragmatic and said yes. But that was fucking shit politics. That was really highlighting how shit politics get. Mark, do I think Clive will stop the Libs from getting rid of welfare systems? No, Clive Palmer is a fucking liar. Literally everything Clive Palmer's been saying in his campaign ads is a fucking lie. He's nothing but a narcissist and a fucking liar. He's got no interest in the welfare state. He's got no interest in protecting people. All his election pitches to that effect are fucking self-serving lies. Fox, top 10 Aussie PMs. Oh, see, okay, so I'm super biased and also my history's not that good. And I'd be biased towards Labor prime ministers, obviously. And I'd think of the ones in my lifetime, like Gough Whitlam and Julie Gillard and Kevin Rudd and Bob Hawke and Paul Keating. And I'd also think of John Curtin in World War II, pulling in troops back to protect Australia on the fucking Dakota Trail. But I wouldn't really go to rate all Australian PMs because my knowledge of history is too fucking sketchy, quite honestly. I do regret I avoided doing history and geography at school in like year 11 and 12. So there's too much essays. But in retrospect, because they're both basically politics, I wish I had done them. I thought I do boy stuff. I'm going to do engineering and maths and science related stuff. And I fucking shouldn't have. I should have done geography and history. But I didn't. And I regret that. But anyway, Mark, oh God, if the Libs get back in, I honestly think that would be a disaster for Australia. The Libs policy on everything, climate, workers' rights, gender discrimination, racial discrimination, gay rights, trans rights, the environment, industrial relations. Seriously, the Libs policy on everything is fucking shit. And absolutely, I think on so many levels, it would be a fucking disaster for Australia if they got back in. In fact, I think even for the good of the Liberal Party, they not only need to lose this election, they need to be crushed because they need to understand that this pandering to the extreme right, like 10, 20, 30% of the electorate, they can't win any elections doing that shit. They need to get back to more sensible policies rather than pandering to the extreme right. I think them winning would be a fucking disaster economically, environmentally, and socially for this country. But I'm biased. Dr. Obama, unpopular opinion, Menzies are crap. I'm 100% with you. Menzies was, I think, the longest serving PM in Australia's history, but I think he was shit. And yeah, it was just a product of the time. As you say, it was the post-war growth. I actually agree with you completely. Menzies had a long term because of the post-war economic growth, and he was not great as a PM. He definitely wouldn't get in my top 5. No way. Yeah, no, Mark, the Libs and their dismembering of welfare in this country is bad. So for what percentage of Australians are far right? 10 to 20%, which is a lot of people. Same as in the US, like far right, oh, geez, these Nazi policies are okay. Geez, wasn't it good when the darkies didn't have any rights? See, when you get to 20% of the US. That's a lot of people. Sarah, thank you for piping up. You've got to go back to work? I should go to bed. I'm just having too much fun talking. Geez, Fox, you're negative. 55% of Australia are far. Oh, fuck, I tell you what. I almost never watch commercial broadcast TV in Australia. I normally watch like the streaming services and subscription services, or I'll record some stuff from the ABC or SBS. Almost never watch anything from 7 or 9, 10. But I was just flicking through channels and the game show Pointless was on channel 10. And I thought, I'll watch this because this is fun, because it's a direct copy of the UK game show Pointless. And it's so low stakes. Like the grand prize is only like $1,000 or $2,000. And I just love that there's a game show with such low stakes. It's like not who wants to be a millionaire, it's who wants to win $1,000. I love with Pointless, the stakes are so low. And it's a fun, they have fun on Pointless, both the UK version of Pointless and the Australian copy of Pointless. They just have fun. And so I'm going to watch Pointless. And then straight after that was The Project, which I don't usually watch, but I couldn't be bothered to change channels and I left it running. And they had this segment where they talked about, which is what I named this live stream after, the nastiness. Tony Abbott saying, there's a new level of nastiness because someone posted pictures calling him a cunt, and he's a cunt. This woman on the fucking Project, they had their conservative radio bloke on there talking about these Tony Abbott posters, and she's talking about it like it was the collapse of society, like these thugs need to be stopped and whatnot. I go, oh God, there is this ridiculous bullshit idea that people have to know. Australia's a country of larrikins. Oh, we're anti-establishment and irreverent, and we don't like stuffy people. Fucking bullshit. This is a country of cops. This is a country of people who want to fucking rat out anyone else. And I was just watching through, and she was young-ish. She was either young Gen X or older millennial, and she's just talking about these guys who did these paste-ups calling Tony Abbott a cunt, saying they're thugs, they're this, they're extreme. And I'm going, what the fuck is wrong with you, you fucking narc? She's going, the police will get them. It's like, no, this is not a country of larrikins and irreverent anti-establishment people. This is a country of people who wish they were fucking cops. I was like, oh my fucking God, what is wrong with this person? You see, Mark, I'm actually pro-nanny state, quite honestly. And I'm not exaggerating, at least 3/4 of the time when people go, oh, nanny state, I'm 100% in favor of the policy they're calling nanny state, because people are cunts. You can't let them do their own thing because it'll just be fucking Mad Max. It's like, especially when you get the real shitheads, people like David Lanholm or whatever, or people in the Liberal Party go, oh, nanny state's going. You are talking about basic human decency as if it's a bad thing. Like, what the fuck? Honestly. Look, honestly, although I could keep going for a while, I've run past my normal time. I don't really have anywhere to be in the morning. In case you're wondering what I'm doing, Mimsy's sitting on my lap. I think she's out of shot, but I'm patting Mimsy. She's on my lap. Oh yeah, Dr. Bowman, I'm almost sure that Morrison's going to get fucking smashed on May 18th. Not much more than 2 weeks to go. Not much more. I'm really looking forward to it, and I will be doing a live stream on the night. Probably getting so fucking drunk. This is me after I just had 2 cocktails in half an hour. And election night's going to be fucking bigger than that. I'll tell you that for free. When I say 2 cocktails, they were pretty fucking strong though. Like I should not be driving a car at this point. Oh, Mark, talking about libs controlling everything, man. Man, they're the fucking police state if they had to way back to John Howard. They've been trying to introduce thought crime laws. Way back to John Howard, they've been trying to introduce laws that if you say something, the government, you don't have to do anything. You just have to say something the government doesn't like, and they can charge you with a fucking crime. The small government party, the party of the individual, has been trying to have thought crime on the books since the fucking 90s. Fuck those people. Dr. Obama, for you, buddy, I will sing the Muppet Show theme, drunken, on election. It's time to play the music. It's time to light the lights. Because they are a fucking Muppet Show, these people. Seriously. Anyway, yeah, then we get the fun. If the Libs get smashed, who's going to be opposition leader? Because we don't know who's going to lose their seat. They will dump Morrison, but it's a big question as to who's going to survive. So who will be opposition leader? Anyway, Mofo, you've got an event on the 15th with free and have a beer. What day of the week is the 15th, buddy? I'm just looking it up on the calendar. Christ, the Wednesday. Dude, I can't go out on school nights. I'm a family man. Midweek stuff, I can't really go out. Oh no, Mark, I'm a contractor, and I just finished one contract, and I don't start a new one till next. I thought I was going to start on Monday, but it's going to take slightly longer to do the paperwork. I'll probably start on Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So no work. No work this week. No work until mid next week. The joy of being a contractor. Oh yeah, Dr. Brahma, Frydenberg's under threat. The people I'm going to have the big drinks for if they lose their seat. Frydenberg's one of them because he's a prick. Tony Abbott, Peter Dutton, George Christensen. I'm not saying they all will lose their seats, but if they lose their seats, big fucking drink. Mofo, school night is a figure of speech. It means a work night. Because they don't have anyone at school anymore. My kids are at uni. That's how old I am. How old? People say, how old are you, Angry? I am, my kids are at uni old. How old are you, Angry? I can injure myself by sleeping. I'm going to a physio because I fucked up, and I mean fucked up, my shoulder by the way I was sleeping. My God, that's how old I am. I can injure myself by sleeping. Mark, will Australia get a recession? Not if Labor wins. Labor are better economic managers than the Libs. If the Libs win, I think economically we're fucked. I think in terms of industrial workers' rights, we're fucked. I think in terms of the environment, we're fucked. I think in terms of social justice, we're fucked. I think it's very bad for Australia if they retain government. The Labor Party are a long way from perfect, but I think we're fucked if the Libs don't get beaten. Gecko, you're at college at 19 or 20 and they're a mature age 40 to 50-year-old mums in the class. Yep, that happens. And yeah, I mean, the thing I did when I was at uni, because I went straight to college from school, but the course I ended up doing, I sort of transferred after 2 years. I was a lot of mature age students in my course. So yeah, so I've run about 20 minutes over my normal time. Look, I could keep going for ages, but I probably shouldn't because I'll pay for it tomorrow. I said, remember me saying earlier, sometimes Facebook advertising works, and because I get all this booze stuff and some of it I like, and I found some bars I like through Facebook. There is this place, not a bar, but another thing I like is the American style food, like particularly the American barbecue style food. And there's this place that I kept seeing on Facebook for the last couple of years. And I kept thinking I'll go to because it's not that far from where I live. It's in Port Melbourne, called Third Wave Cafe. And they had a promo on Facebook this week. They have taco shells one's made out of melted cheese and one's made out of mac and cheese, and they stuff them with things like brisket and pulled pork. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm going there for lunch tomorrow because I don't have to go to work tomorrow. So I'm going to go across to fucking Port Melbourne and have this insanely unhealthy American inspired fucking lunch. I'll post. Follow me on the socials. If you don't follow me on the socials, you could. My Instagram is usually very pretty. It's usually street art because Melbourne's got street art. It's usually street art, flowers, and the occasional self-indulgent selfie. But follow me on like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. But yeah, I go for lunch tomorrow with this seriously fucking decadent food. I'll post some pictures because I think it's going to be really full on. And I reckon I'm just going to do that tomorrow because I'm going back to work next week. So while I've got free time, I'm going to I'm AngryAussie on all social media. Just search AngryAussie on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. You'll find me by searching AngryAussie on all those things. Oh God, La Heretic, that's gross. I've seen that before. A hamburger patty between two donuts. Yeah, this is occasion. I'm trying to stick to my diet. I've lost about 10 kilograms this year. And I need to lose so much more. Minimum 20 kilos. Before the end of the year, I want to lose at least 20 more kilograms. In a perfect world, about 30 more kilograms. Because then I'd actually be down to a healthy weight. I'm not sure I'll be able to lose more than about 20 more kilograms, but in a perfect world, I'd lose it by the end of the year. I'd lose about 30 kilograms, but at least 20 more kilograms by the end of the year. But we'll see. We will see. Dr. Obama, thank you for joining me. Thank you, one and all, for joining me. I've been dragging this around because you're all so much fun to hang out with. Quite honestly, some people ask me, like, why do you do live streams? Because you people are so much fun to hang out with, quite honestly. I always have a good time. I always have a good time hanging out in the live streams. So yeah, thumbs up to annoy the trolls, as Miss Foxification saying. Oh, fucking hell, Gecko. You were Starlight528. For some reason, I remember that username. You remember the old video where I read a bunch of comments? Holy cow. Anyway, look after yourself, one and all. I look forward to seeing you again sometime soon. Believe it or not, I have already recorded my TFU Friday video, and I was applying some filters and stuff, and there's some effects in it. So I did it a day early so I could apply all these filters that take, and I'm not fucking exaggerating, they take about 6 to 8 hours to render. So there will actually be a video tomorrow because I've already recorded it. I recorded it just before going live on here. So there will actually be a video tomorrow. It's mostly dominated by the Australian election, some stuff about Trump, and I also talk about cassowaries and how they are prehistoric dinosaur murder birds, and I love them. But I hope you all look after yourselves. I hope to see you again soon. Look after yourselves, and I might even do another video. No, actually, I've got a bunch of shit planned on the weekend. So probably not a live stream, but maybe a video over the weekend. But I hope to look after yourselves and have fun. Enjoyed my time as always. To enjoy the rest of my night, I am going to bed. I'm going to bed. The rest of my night is sleeping. And the worst thing, if when I've had a couple of drinks, what happens, and I know this from experience, like normally you sleep, breathe through my nose. So if I breathe through my mouth, it dries my throat out. But when I'm drunk, I think, not that I'm particularly drunk, but I go back and I go, and fall asleep. And then in the middle of the night, I wake up and my throat is so dry, I can't even swallow. And I'm lying in bed going, and so I have to get up and have a drink of water because I am dying. So probably in the middle of the night, I'll get up and have a piss and a drink of water. It only happens when I've had a couple of drinks. I clearly go to sleep with my mouth open. It must be such an attractive sight. It's like so lucky the lights are out. Because I reckon me asleep after having a couple of drinks is just, I breathe through my mouth and dry my throat out, which is gross. God, everything's fucking buzzing at me. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed. It's almost 10:30. Thank you, you wonderful people, for spending time with me. I hope to see you all again soon. I will say bye for now.